This episode is brought to you by Peak, the blockchain for real-world applications and home of DePIN. If you think it's time for Web3 to get real, check out their website at peak.network. That's peaq.network. Hello everyone, Daniel from DePIN Hub over here, and today we have the pleasure to have Sherlock, CEO and co-founder of Meson Network. Meson Network is building this decentralized infrastructure network, and it's very aligned with the DePIN ecosystem. They've been building for quite some time now, I think like 2-3 years. I'm really happy to hear like the wise words from the CEO and Sherlock, thank you so much for being in the podcast today. It's a pleasure to have you here. Let's get started for you, maybe introducing yourself, your background, and how this project got started.
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Daniel, for having me. Really excited to join this podcast. So I'm Sherlock, I'm co-founder of Meson Network, and we started this company since the November 2020. The problem we try to address is quite simple. In the early stage, we noticed that as an engineer, I'm as a backend engineer, I have run lots of machines from the cloud service providers like the Google Cloud, Amazon, AWS, all kind of guys. But the point is, when I spend like $200 to $300 per month, I realized that I only use like 20 or 30% of my resources. So I'm thinking about whether we can find a way to like monetize the speed of the cloud service. And then, well, we did some research. We noticed that the bandwidth we acquired from the cloud, which is quite valuable, like some short videos and long videos platforms, companies, they will spend huge amounts of money for that part. I can give you a specific like figures. So one of short videos company is called Kwai. I read his prospectus and told me they spend around like $800 million per year only for bandwidth. So it looks like, okay, the resource is quite valuable, but then the next question is why no one just tries to reach me to, aggregate my resources. And then we notice the problem is, in the right now internet model, when people or when company try to acquire resources, they were much using like a top-down model. They have to send a group of like sales team. The sales team usually will like have a tea, have a coffee, like have a breakfast with you guys, have a meeting, and sign a contract and make the deal. So this is how it works for the like past 10 to 15 years. It works pretty good because when sales team try to like reach you, basically they will measure their time, right? They will think about, okay, if I spend 1 hour meeting with you, basically you should worth my time. But think about my value. Okay, right now I'm as like a rental users, I can only offer like the $50 to $100 per month, which is totally wasting his time. But think different. If we can find a way to, aggregate like hundreds, thousands, or even 1 million users like me all together, we put it into like a group, an organization, and then we send a representative of us. Then the guys there is really interested to talk with us, and maybe it's worth like a couple millions or $10 million of value. So the problem has been converted whether we can find a way to aggregate lots of long tail resources, retailers resources with really low cost. And then we notice, okay, the answer is token. We can use token to incentivize people. And somebody there, like they live in different countries, they live in like different I would say kind of conditions. For example, they maybe have resources from the IDC, they may have resources from their mobiles, their telecoms, and maybe they only have $10 value per month. But it's okay. They don't need to know somebody from very like giant companies. He don't need to know somebody like from Meson. He don't need to know Sherlock and Daniel. But if he have resources, he can download our like the mining software. It's much more like Bitcoin mining for the protocol, join network, and earn some tokens reward. So this is how it works and how we like start this Meson Network.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think that's a big issue, right? With the resources. It's crazy to think how much money people spend on this kind of bandwidth resource, and I believe that DePIN is the perfect use case for this. So how would you explain the core mission of Meson Network? It's like to distribute, lower the cost, or what would you guys say what it is?
Yeah, sure. So it's very simple. We try to address the network problems. So right now, we know there are three kinds of infrastructures, resources: compute, storage, and bandwidth, right? This is the three things which consist of our like the internet. We need to do the computer, we need to store the data, and we need to transfer data to different kind of guys. Um, but if you look at history, so um, long before the emergence of internet, there are still three kinds of basic things of called compute, storage, bandwidth. What is compute? Compute is much more like when we learn lots of knowledge, we need to do some like compute. For example, mathematics is one of the compute. Physics is still one of the compute. We need to use the materials we observed, we have learned from our like the ancestors, and we do some compute, and we get some likely results. So this is computing history. What is storage? Storage is much more like the memory or the history of human. Like when we have some conclusion or when we have some like tricks for how to like live in the natural nature, we need to like tell our like the child, hey, don't go to the lake, don't go to like the seas, without ships, without the things can help you to keep you alive. You need to get some warnings, and usually they need to tell their child, and then they have like stones, they can carve on the stones, and then they have the books. We can write our knowledge in the books, and then right now, because there are so much of the knowledge there, so we have to use digital disk. That's called storage, right? And then what is bandwidth? Okay, so apart from the internet bandwidth, usually like bandwidth just means like how our capacity, like we can talk with people, right? So if I have a meeting with Daniel, if I have like meeting with somebody else, we have a talk. Basically, for the whole day, maybe I can only like talk with 10 or 15 people at most, or 20 people at most. Like if everybody takes like 1 hour kind of things. So we have limited bandwidth, right? So, and in crypto space, in internet space, bandwidth is also similar to that. During maybe the per unit, like per second or per hour, basically you can only transfer like a fixed number of the data packets to the friends or to somebody else. So I would say, okay, so the DePIN is quite interesting is because it's much more like we can decentralize all of these three physical infrastructures. We can not only count on the tech giants to build their architecture, and maybe when the AWS like made some issues, or maybe when the Google Cloud, the company is not there, but all my photos, if I store my photos, my very valuable memory with my family, with my friends stored on Google Cloud, and somehow 50 years later, Google has disappeared from this market, from this world. I lost all of my memory with my friends and family. 100 years later, my children, my grandchildren, they can't see the things right now. It's gonna be super like annoying for me. So I think, okay, so this is why we think maybe one day we do need to decentralize part of the service so that it can let we can build a network or kind of things, make projects or infra that can I would say give it to our like grandchildren's,
The next generation.
Next generations, of course.
No, I love that. Actually, that's very true, right? Because, I mean, throughout history, I mean, I'd say like the last 30 years, for example, there's a lot of tech companies that they were born and they died. And imagine if you have valuable pictures of your family, documents on one of those files, one of those companies, and that company failed, the chances that your files are going to be gone, it's very likely, right? And things, especially like for me, photos is a very valuable thing. Because you cannot recreate that experience, that time, because you can't go back in time yet. So I think building a decentralized like infrastructure for storage, for example, that saves that people from that burden of like trusting actually a third party or trusting a company to rely on infrastructure, right? Instead of that, we can have a decentralized that there's no one single company that actually can turn off everything because they decided to. I think that's a beautiful message, right?
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, and then on the on the DePIN like central concept of the network. I mean, after all, we are in the DePIN Hub podcast. How was the trajectory of getting the DePIN ecosystem? How was it since the beginning that you guys figured out, okay, DePIN actually, maybe that wasn't really the name at the time, had some other name, TPIN or something else. When did you guys decide that that was the way to go, that decentralize, get everybody involved, and like basically following the DePIN ecosystem method?
So when we started our project, since in 2020, we didn't know like a thing called DePIN. But we only know one thing, that we focus on the physical infrastructure. Physical network infrastructure, internet infrastructure, and the most important thing is we can use people, we can use human, let them to join the network with the incentivize of the tokens. So we think it works pretty good, because we within like the I would say 6 months when we launched our testnet, basically we have more than like the 50 to 100k miners there. Right now we have more than like 500k registered users with around like more than 200k miners live there, both in the Ghana and the Meson. So just like you have mentioned that during 2021, there is some called TPIN, token incentivized physical infrastructure. So I do remember I have joined some TPIN events, and also we hosted 2 TPIN events online, TPIN Summer kind of things, to invite lots of projects there. So the most important thing, I think, it's not about the name. It's called TPIN or kind of wins. I mean, the most important thing is we know one day we will have the very big, large distributed network. Also, if we can make it distributed, decentralized network, and everybody else can, I would say, first monetize their physical things, like monetize their mobile computing, monetize their mobile network, telecoms, monetize like their any like things, maybe GPU sharing or data sharing or kind of things. And somehow, if the principles behind this align with DePIN, so then we can call it them all the DePINs. And during last year, and we think DePIN is a really good thing, because we need to have the one name to address the space, right? So the space is called DePIN. We will try our best to have all of the DePIN ecosystem here. And also for all of the ecosystem, I would say a very interesting way is we can start with the phone, our mobiles, because when we try to focus on the IECs or the I would say the internet data center resources here, it's basically far away from most of retailers, users. So if we can find a way that which can be much closer to the retailers, if I'm a user, if I can have something to use and I have something to share, and I can join the DePIN or any DePIN project or ecosystem, that got me super nice. So I would say one of the point in the future is we want to make DePIN much more like close to the retailers' devices.
Yeah. No, I do agree. Like, for example, like you mentioned, using the cell phone, it's a massive opportunity for a huge amount of people to join, right? Because right now, if you have a computer, it's one thing, but if you have a phone, everybody has a phone. A lot of people have 2 phones, they have spare phones, this way. Just think about, I remember when I was traveling, for example, in India, almost nobody in a lot of places didn't have Wi-Fi, but everybody has extremely fast and really reliable data package in their phone. So everybody was all the time on their phone, right? So this way you could have billions of devices on the network super quickly, comparing to waiting for someone to buy a hardware or set up on like a desktop PC that they have at home, or even less if you have like a infrastructure on a data center, right? So I think that's definitely a very interesting point. So how does the, let's say, How do you utilize the idle bandwidth for people? You said you can use phones and other devices. What are the kind of incentives that people get for running those devices? They're getting tokens. They need to be. Are you guys in Solana, or what kind of like layer one are you building on top? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. So this is our like the core values. So right now we have two kinds of resources here. The first is from IDC, which means it's quite stable. It can be used for the real like commercial scenes. And the second one is from the mobiles. I can give you some examples. The first, like just in the beginning, I have mentioned like if I have run some machines from clouds, um, maybe you will have a Linux terminal you can access there, and then you can run software to contribute the IDC's resources to our network. So this is the first. The second one is I can share my mobile's data packet to the users who want to use. It's not like it's a little different than you mentioned that when you went to India, you can use their data packet. It's much more like you are still guys far away. Maybe you are in the Europe, another guy is in the States, and then the point is the guys from Europe he want to access the network through the States, right? So how can it be achieved? So one of the ways is you can open a VPN service, which means you can open a node in the IDC, and then you guys build a tunnel, and then the tunnels will relay your traffic. But the point is, when you use IDC nodes, basically, when you try to access some websites like Facebook, like Twitter, or kind of ones, they will think you are robots, and they hate robots, and they will ban you. They will restrict your access of the websites. But another way is, if you are the guy who live in the States and use the mobiles to access these websites, so this guy will think, okay, it looks like all the access, signature or kind of things is like you are a real human. You use the telecoms network. You using like a specific type of the phone, and also using the phones like traffic to be near. So they will think, oh, okay, looks like you're a real human, so I will give you much more like the rights to, priorities kind of things to use. So this is things we noticed that mobile is quite valuable. Mobile is not only just like VPN for you to access some websites or to help you do the privacy, but also it can help you to prove that you are much more like a human. And right now in the internet world, or maybe in the next era, like it's called AI era, to prove that you're human is quite tough, but still really important. So if you can use mobile to access websites, and the websites can trust that you're human, and I can give you things. So this is how the Gaia node works. People who can share their mobiles, they install software. It's also fully like open source. You can check the code here, and then you sharing your right to relay the data packet on your phone, and then you can get tokens reward. So yes, the incentivize for these two users is token, our network token. We plan to launch first on Ethereum, years 20. There's still some tricky part because still Ethereum is a little expensive. So after that, we're gonna do some compatible chains, EVM compatible chains. We support them, and after that, we're gonna support some non-EVM compatible chains. Solana is one of the choice.
Nice, yeah. PIC is a layer 1 blockchain designed to power DePINs. Why do DePINs choose to build on PIC? It's fast, scalable, low cost offer builders are ready to deploy DePIN SDK, and is multi-chain. So when you build on PIC, you're building for all Web3. PIC is home for the fastest growing DePIN projects, with more than 100,000 vehicles and devices deployed, over a dozen DePINs already building, and the world-leading device manufacturers such as Boss partner with them. Think of building a DePIN? PIC has a grant program for DePIN builders. If you're listening to this, remember, you're early. The PIC network will launch in the first half of 2024. Check out PIC's channels for more details and links in the podcast description. That's very interesting. So it's basically like a VPN. Your phone becomes a tunnel to basically someone's trying to access the internet. They can prove that they're a real person by using someone else's connectivity on their phone, right? Because they have the IP address. The IP address is connected to a real person and not necessarily like a data center that usually runs the VPNs. on that. I think that brings to my next question that I had written down was Gaga nodes. How do you explain Gaga node, and how interesting is that?
Okay, sure. So it's all I would say two things here. Two things. The first is about what is the right model in crypto space. The second is about what's right in the business space. So when we operate the Meson nodes, I mean the whole network there, we serve with the IDCs. But the point is we found few people can join our network, even though like the people there, they are quite valuable, and sometimes they are like they can contribute us with like huge amounts of nodes. But we still think it's not the core things of crypto or the like the edge of the crypto. I mean, the crypto is we should try to lower the threshold for people to join network. We should make it much more easy. Anybody else, no matter like who you are, like what value you can offer, you can still have a right to join our network, right? So the point is we try to think, okay, how can we like to make a really low threshold things and network and make it much more convenient, I mean easier for people to join. Then we realize, okay, phone is the answer. We should do something with the mobiles. And then when we check out the core value of mobiles, we realize, okay, somebody say that they'll do the Wi-Fi sharing, sometimes like share their storage, or sometimes sharing the commute of the mobile. This is sometimes a little nonsense to me, makes a lot of nonsense to me. But data packet there, the traffic there it's very easy to be standardized, right? It's very hard to standardize like the compute and the storage on the phone, but traffic is really easy. You transfer like 1 megabytes data, you transfer like 1 gigabytes data in California, in Paris, in China. It's quite easy to standardize and measurable. So we realized, okay, if we want to do the right things to use actually the core edge of the crypto, we should take it to the most of the users, retailers, and help them. So the second thing is about the business model. We realized if we only want to charge the fees from CDN, IDC, when we serve users, it's much more like CDN, content delivery network. It's still a very big market. Lots of people want to use that. But then we realized, okay, if we want to build a CDN service, basically it's very hard to have the enough edge for the price part. We cannot offer a very lower pricing because we not physically own this infrastructure. For example, if I own IDC, if we do own some the IDC in different countries, basically we can lower the price. We can have negotiations with the telecoms and offer a cheaper price. But the point is, we didn't own them. So how can we compete with the tech giants one day in the future to offer users a cheap price? Sometimes it's a little hard, but we noticed that if we do the data packet from the mobiles, users is not only purchased by just the megabyte data, they will purchase by the access identities. So, for example, if I'm traveling from different countries and I want to access some websites, the websites have the region restrict. So I hope I can find an access point from these countries and from these residential skies. And I will pay a lot for this identity, which means basically we can have high premium for our the traffic. It's like 5 or 10 times higher than the usual CDNs. So we found, okay, it's also a really good business model. So when it comes all together, it becomes a really we cover much more users, and also we have much more the premium on our pricing, which means the whole things can be much more sustainable.
Nice. Yeah, that's super interesting. Thanks for explaining that. One thing that I'd like to ask you as well is you guys are gonna be listed or are listed already in CoinList, right? I think that's like a very, very interesting, let's say, mark of approval for any crypto project nowadays. They have a really interesting launchpad. This is a great sign for you guys. Can you talk about that? How was the process? What do you guys expect from that? And how has the experience been working with them?
Yeah, sure. Actually, we have finished publishing on CoinList like a few weeks ago. Uh, yes, and it's oversubscribed, and all the sale has been like finished within like 20 minutes or 24 minutes. I'm sorry for the people who like can get a token there. Yeah, me too. I try to like register accounts, but I also like pending in line and I can't purchase it.
That's good. Yeah, we also at DePIN Hub website, which is dpinhub.io. We are looking to building our own launchpad, but that's going to be focused for DePIN ecosystem. It's going to have a little different twist, right? Because we're working with physical hardware most of the time. There's a lot of different things than just like it's not a launchpad just for tokens, but a launchpad for hardware, token, DePIN projects. But yeah, a lot more we're going to be able to announce hopefully soon. But it's a very exciting like update from our side as well. Looking ahead for Meson Network, how can you aim, like what is the next journey that you guys want to take? What is the next steps for, let's say, the next year, the next 5 years? Where do you guys see you're growing?
We have several milestones here. So the first is this year we're gonna launch our token, the mainnet. So the first gonna be ETH20, and then we're gonna do some support of some L2 chains, and then we're gonna support much more like the non-event compatible chains with the better like liquidity gear. So that's the first thing, token launch. And the second thing is we try to make our product to have more than 1 million users within this year. And also the third milestone here is the revenues metrics, because we try to make our revenues can reach more than 10 million US dollar per year. It's a little tough, but it's okay because we think that the whole thing can be sustainable for now. And then I would say for the following 2 to 3 years, we're gonna launch our okay, so it's much more like the bandwidth marketplace, but the point is we try to standardize our infrastructures. We try to, so think about it, like right now when we exchange our network resources, we have to do a really like much more like an OTC deal, or we have to like, I mean, it's like we have to have some meetings, we have some contract, but one day, if bandwidth can be standardized, of course it can be. And then we can only measure that you only need to purchase like 50 megabytes traffic in a very standardized place. And in that place, basically, you can just have some like order books or kind of things. You can say, okay, I want to sell 50 megabytes traffic. Somebody say, okay, I will purchase these 50 megabytes. And then we mesh it all together. And it becomes automated marketplace there. So this is things we're gonna launch in the like the I hope it can be finished like this end of this year or early next year, and also in the like the following 2 to 3 years we may launch our own chain. We are preparing for it because if right now we still didn't find so we don't find really like the high performance chains, we may move some of our core business outside of maybe Ethereum or some layer ones, but to our own chain, so that we can, I would say, have much more metrics from our physical things.
Nice. Oh, that's very exciting. Right now, you said you were in the West Coast. I think this episode is gonna be released on Friday, February 16th. I think next week or very soon starts ETHDenver as well, right? What are you guys doing there? Like I heard you guys doing some conference, some event, side event. Can you tell people who's gonna be there?
Yeah, sure. So we're gonna host a side event in Denver. It's gonna be on March the 1st. Yeah, March the 1st afternoon. The afternoon we'll have a side event, and also you can check our like the side events like link alu.ma/DePIN Summer. So we have already invited like some of our friends, investment projects, like first of course Daniel, the Hotspotty. Yeah, you are one of our like the speakers here, and also we have the A16Cs guy, and also we have CoinShares, and also we have lots of projects here. I would say it's much more like the at DePIN. Yeah, it's still the winter, and you know Denver, like Colorado, is one of the best like the ski resorts in the whole states, but we will set here it's summer because we love summer. Summer means hot. We have the last DeFi summer, and right now we hope we can have a DePIN summer. Welcome to join us,
Yes,
guys.
definitely, that's gonna happen. Yes, exactly. So where do people can go to know more about Meson Network and about the DePIN event that you guys are doing, the DePIN Summer?
Yeah, sure. So you can go to our website. It's called Meson.network. You can check our materials and all the network infrastructure. So maybe you can join us or use the service. And second, if you want to like go to our site event here, you can visit the website. It's called alu.ma/DePIN Summer.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna make sure to put all the information in the description of the video or the audio, depending where you're listening to this. I would like to really thank you, Sherlock, for coming to the podcast. It was a pleasure to have you here, and I hope to see you in a couple of weeks or 1.5. Yeah, a couple of weeks in Denver. Yeah, in Denver. And yeah, I mean, DePIN is just getting started, right? We have a very, very exciting year coming for us. And for all the listeners out there, make sure to subscribe to DePIN Hub Podcast, where you're listening on YouTube or Spotify or Apple. And make sure to come to hotspotty.net and deepinhub.io. See you guys in the next episode. Thanks so much for luck again, and see you soon.
Yeah,
have a good one.